YouTube. I'm David with the David West channel. Right here we have some wood that must have fallen off somebody's truck probably a year ago. And I thought it was base molding, but it's siding. There's probably been thousands of people that could have picked that up and disposed of it. Let's try a two-piece spindle with it and do some bow drill. If there's no snakes under there. I'll check it for black widow spiders before I put it in the car. All right, it's early the next morning. I never make videos at 7:30, but I want to try to beat the heat today. Beat that yapping dog, which usually starts about 9:30 or 10 o'clock. So here's what we have to work with. We'll treat this paint as if it's lead paint. And this is knotty pine. This is exterior siding that I've seen on houses like from the 40s. So let's go ahead and cut this knot out. That can be our bearing block. Start splitting it up and see which two pieces we want to sort of join together to make the spindle. Just that easy. We have our fat wood bearing block. All knots are fat wood. Let's split up those boards now. All right, I'm going to attach the two-piece spindle together with electrical tape. You could use cordage, you could actually use screws. Let's see how we could split this out on these existing cracks here. Might be able to break that out. Let's try to use this piece from here to here. And of course, we'll cut it in half. That should work just fine. I'll cut that lead paint off of there, square the edges up a little bit, and I'll show you how I'll temporarily tape it to do a lot of the whittling. I'll cut that paint off right there. All right, I'm going to cut this surface down now. I'm going to take about 1/4 inch off of here and 1/4 inch off of this surface before we mate them together. Have that about like I want it. I'll take the tape off of this end and put it over on this end. It is ready to put the ends on now. Whenever you have diving grain, like I had a lot of it when I was trying to whittle it down this way, you don't have any choice. You have to start whittling back this way. That's why I got into my tape, and it looks like it does. But we'll use this for the bearing block end, and this will be the hot end. It'll work. I'll show you. You're gonna come up 1 inch from the end of the hot end and start wrapping tape. And we'll come up within 2 inches of the bearing block end.
Clean it up a little bit.
Those 2 pieces have to hold up while they're in the fat wood bearing block. And then this, you might say, well, there's part of the spindle missing. I anticipate that working just fine. And the Fireboard, kind of a nasty looking start, nasty looking gouge. All I have to do is sharpen the tip of my knife and I wouldn't have all that, but like I say, it should work just fine. And then the bearing block. I cannot wait. Let's get set up on the ground. This is some exterior wood siding that I've been looking at for a year when I go to the walking trail. Must have fallen off somebody's truck at that intersection. And I've always known that I could do a 2-piece spindle. I don't know if you can tell, but that spindle has got a thicker diameter than the wood itself. I didn't want to use a 1/2-inch spindle, so I'm happy to have this 3/4 inch spindle by 2-piecing it. Let's try it out. This ought to be an easy ignition. So 2-piece spindle. We're using the knot in some of that siding as our fat wood bearing block, and of course that same siding for the Fireboard. Pine needles for a tinder bundle, and we'll use the pine cones for kindling. Let's go for the burn in. Bearing block's doing a good job. Can you see that knot right there? And right here? And we'll save that dust and reuse it. I'll cut a notch and be right back. I like a wide square point notch. The Walmart paracord doesn't stay cinched on itself as well as the good paracord. and a big fat ember. Spindle tip got pointy because this was the center wearing down into that big square point notch, and a lot of times you'll end up with that point. The bearing block end wore down a good bit, but that 100-year-old pine knot lubed it up just fine. That brown dust is the burn-in dust. We have plenty of ember to work with. You love to see that ember fall down in there in one piece. That's why you take so much time, 1 to 2 minutes, to let it coalesce so it can come together. The worst thing you can possibly see is dropping your ember in those pine needles and then seeing thousands of pieces just filter right down through those pine needles. You have to let it coalesce. Alright y'all, do me a favor. Before you leave my channel, please subscribe, hit the notification bell, and in that drop down list, select all. And do give the video a like. I appreciate you joining me on this one. We'll catch you on the next one.